What's up, YouTube? It's King Manye. I am the leader and the captain of my destiny, and I will succeed because I believe I will. And I do believe I will succeed, so therefore I do. I got this article I wrote about the COVID outbreak when I was in prison. Thought I'd share it. I was in a California men's colony up in San Luis Obispo, and January 8th, 2022, I was classified as positive for COVID-19. A massive omicron breakout is on the rise. I am housed in a barrack-style dorm with 60 men. In nearly a week, more than 20 to 22 inmates in my dorm would test positive for COVID-19. Throughout the whole prison yard, there's 9 other dorms with approximately 60 inmates in each dorm. Every dorm has faced the same crisis, and one dorm, nearly 30 out of 60 inmates tested positive for coronavirus and they were removed to isolation. Now, in isolation, an inmate is placed in a cell and kept separate from human contact. No medical treatment is provided, as there is currently no cure for the COVID-19. No medicine is given to those inmates to ease the discomfort of the symptoms of COVID. So daily, a nurse will rush down the hall to check each and every inmate's temperature, blood pressure, and oxygen level. This is the extent of the medical attention provided. My personal experience was similar to solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is where they put inmates who are being punished or who have to be kept alone for some type of security reasons. My experience was similar to solitary confinement, only worse because we received no clean linen, no clothing was provided for 10 days. 10 days as I was on isolation. Showers were provided on a routine basis, and so was the meals. No phone calls were allowed to notify our family and friends, and daily new cases were being reported. The prison is understaffed as they too are being isolated and at home. So the wing in isolation ran out of rooms available for inmates. The prison was not prepared to deal with the crisis. There's not enough single cells to isolate the amount of inmates that was testing positive. The prison now has begun to group all the inmates infected or exposed into a dorm. And there is no more available cells. It was so bad they couldn't keep isolating people. They just had to put them in all together in the same dorm. Like, here, y'all all got it, just stay in the dorm. The effects of the Omicron are felt by everyone. No packages are issued due to either shortage of staff or due to dorms being quarantined. Many of the sick inmates avoid seeking help for fear of being the cause of further quarantine. With isolation, no phone privileges, no school, no groups, and no yard time are a big enough deterrent to suffer in silence. So it was to the point where people knew they were sick, but they wouldn't want to come forward because they didn't want to keep the program shut down. They didn't want to, they wanted to go to canteen. People was hungry. They wanted to get back to visits, regular visits. So it was to the point where people would stop even saying they had symptoms. Nobody wants the inconvenience of packing all their property up to be placed in a cell for isolation, or in this case, a dorm. With no cure for the virus in sight, being infected with COVID while here at CMC is a certainty. The biggest concern is how much COVID can one person endure before their body fails and they succumb. For the record, I am fully vaccinated and I used to sleep with a N95 mask. Yet I still was exposed to COVID-19, and I will continue to be exposed unless the courts intervene and order an emergency release, or until the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation implements and enforce proper safety protocols to prevent the spread of the COVID. I had wrote this as I was experiencing it. And, incarcerated, dealing with the Omicron, seeing people actually die, it was more than just a myth. This was friends that were around me that were actually dying from the coronavirus. So the conspiracy, whether you believe it exists or don't, I'm not a scientist, but I know motherfuckers was dying where I was at. So if you got healthy motherfuckers who just all of a sudden start dying, and they saying it's because of this disease, I'm led to believe this disease is causing motherfuckers to die. And I wanted to protect myself, and so yes, I was one of the ones who got the virus. I mean, got the vaccine, and no, I wouldn't have got it had I been on the streets. Had I been free in the free world, I wouldn't have got that shit. But in there, I had to do everything possible to have a fighting chance, man. And so that's the truth of the matter. So everybody has to do what they feel was best for them, and that's the step I took. And so I got infected with the COVID twice while I was incarcerated. There's class action lawsuits going on right now in prison. I wanted to bring this to the attention of the world and let you know that there's men that are currently dealing with this COVID-19 breakout, whether it's a man-made thing, whether it's real or it ain't real. All I know is there is a severe illness that is plaguing the prison population. People are dying. Even the ones who got the vaccine are getting sick. Well, they're getting affected. Now, they say, had I not been vaccinated, I wouldn't have got sick. I don't believe that shit, because I know people who wasn't vaccinated and they got the COVID, and they didn't have no symptoms. I know people who were vaccinated and got COVID and had symptoms. So it was a tricky situation. Hey, I'm not here to debate who believes it, who don't, where it came from, all that shit. Unless you're a scientist, unless you're a biologist, a doctor or something, then pretty much your opinion is just as good as mine, okay? But I tell you the story just so we can be aware that there's people who are suffering, and it's to the point where they don't even want to come forward and mention their conditions, so they suffer in silence. They will get the COVID, they will get the virus, whatever it is, they will get sick. And the question is, how many times can they continue to get sick before eventually they die? I'm King Monye. I was sent here to inspire those who are great and sometimes tend to forget. I'm just reporting on the conditions that I experienced when I was incarcerated. I'm going to ask that you do two things. One, you go ahead and click that like, that thumbs up. And two, you go ahead and subscribe and become part of the Monye tribe. Y'all be easy. Have a God day, and God bless.